Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jer, and I am joined by my very, very needy child. We are going to be talking about my top 10 favorite looks from Drag Race UK versus the World Season 1. This season was a mess, and we just reviewed it for my Drag Race podcast. So if you haven't already listened to that, check that out. Also this week, there will be further videos, including a Drag Race simulator, as well as what I thought were the main problems of Drag Race UK versus the World. We are going to be talking about these looks, and I will say it was kind of hard for me to find 10 because this was kind of a mediocre season. Let's just say that. It really wasn't very strong in the looks department, mostly because a lot of the queens that would have been bringing in good looks were eliminated early. And I just wasn't terribly impressed by what was there. And you know what? I can't even blame them because for a non-cash prize, no money per episode, and a song with RuPaul, I wouldn't have put any money into this competition either. So without further ado, let's jump in, and remember that these are my top 10 looks. Just because your favorite wasn't on here doesn't mean I thought it was bad. It just means it didn't make it. Let's do this. In the number 10 slot, we have Blue Hydrangea's finale look. This is not really the best photo because this was the only thing that was on the wiki. I really like this look a lot. I think that the silhouette is so fun and interesting, and I like how the peplum has been turned into this structural, almost like Koopa shell spike. The hair is cute as hell. I love the waves, and there were just these ringlets in the back, and it was bouncy and full of life. The leg cuffs are interesting, and I just think overall Blue looks like a spectacle in an event. This looks like something you would see on a main stage at a Pride event, and I always really kind of love that kind of drag. Also, I am very lingerie today and doing something I never do, which is including a face cam in these videos. I thought it felt necessary because sometimes they feel a little depersonalized. So let me know if you like this style of me putting my camera up here, or if you like the old style of me not having my face. In the number 9 spot, we got Pangina heels in the finale. I like this look because I enjoy that Pangina is riffing off of the home territory in which this versus the world is taking place, which is the UK. I would have maybe appreciated something that was more Thai, that was more Pangina, whatever. Even a riff off of something that she had done on the show, just a more upscaled version would have been cool. But I do like the pandering to the home country. I think this does look like a finale gown in its own right. I like the tutu, I like the corset, and all the details that are on there, the incorporation of all of this stuff. I love the neck ruffle. I like the pearls in the hair. Overall, this is a very effective look from Pangina. There's height, there's body, there's size and scale, but it's also nipped in. And I love when nothing more than the illusion of big, small, big. And that's what this is. In the number 8 spot, we got Blue Hydrangea's Butch Queen look, and I'm gonna be upfront here with y'all. It's gonna be about the same queens all the time because I didn't like a lot of what everybody else brought. This was one of my favorite categories of the night because I think it perfectly encapsulates Butch and Queen. Now, when I think of Butch Queen, there is one look that was on this runway that I think about that lives up here all the time. That is the category down. I love the interpretation of a strong man as a Butch Queen. I think this black and white, old carnival, old freak show style is so fun. I like that it's blended not only the strong man, but also the bearded woman. And I think for Blue, someone whose storyline on this season was about the masculine and the feminine never really feeling like those were the thing, that she was just sort of this creature that lived in between. I think this was a nice way to talk about that, and it also set up this storyline of her versus Mo, who both of them were going through their gender identity revelations on this season. So it's set up for a good back and forth between them. I think the corset is the most interesting part because it's a completely different textile than everything else present here, except for the weights. And that does draw my eye in, and so it gives it that big, small, big shape. I like the peplum over this mermaid skirt. It's a fun interpretation of a classic silhouette, and the color choices were nice. The textile blending is nice, and the way that it's all been manipulated is pleasing to my eye, and I think Blue did a great job of that throughout this season. In the number 7 slot, we got Pangina heels for Luck Be a Lady. How did this bitch get this across the waters? Like, how? I think the only thing that doesn't make sense with this look are the piece earrings. I don't quite understand why those are there. I think Those could have been literally anything else. Those could have been a little stud, and I think that would have been fine. I like the coins that are coming off the side. I think it gives it the illusion that money is just pouring out of this. There are coins that are coming down on the legs. So overall, this gives the vibe of the story, and the winner with the coins up here too. The coins are my favorite detail, if you didn't already figure it out. I like that it's just exploding everywhere, and they came out of her puswacha. I think this is the prompt down, very Vegas coded. And again, it's kind of pandering towards the sensibility of the host, which is Rue, whose luck concept would probably be filtered through Vegas, especially Luck Be a Lady. I think Frank Sinatra, 40s, 50s Momster Vegas, you know, which is still Vegas. The hair is cool too. This look will live in my brain, I think, forever, but also her crying is a circle of hell that just feels so bad to exist in. So we're gonna move on to number 6, where we have Blue Hydrangea's Luck Be a Lady. This runway really worked me out. I enjoyed this one a lot. What I think is the most understated part of this is in the close-up shot, you can see these cards that are cascading along the neckline. I love nothing more than this twist on a pantsuit, this twist on the card girl. If you've ever been to an event where there's someone who's starting blackjack, say for like a charity event, there's always a blackjack table, and there's someone who's wearing this spectacle garment that is meant to be eye-catching and grab you so that you want to go over and spend your money for charity, right? And then this scalloped pant is so interesting as well with the boots. Normally, a half booty like that is kind of weird and distracting with most looks, but it works here because the colors are all even, so you can't quite tell where the boot is starting visually. The twist on, again, a peplum. I think Blue really loved a peplum. This twist on a peplum where it's this big scooping McDonald's arch is so fascinating. And then you zoom in and there's these flecks of gold that are all up here too. Not only on the cards where you can see the cards have been hand stamped with those, but there's also gold on the necklace. There's gold obviously hanging on the wrists. I love this. It's so fun. It's very similar to Pangina's, where everything is just sort of exploding out, and it's the cards that are exploding out of the garment rather than the coin. The hair, I'm not really a huge fan of those cranberry balls that were very popular at this time. They look like those holly wreaths that you get that have the cranberries in them. I don't like them. Whatever. That's my least favorite part, but I think the red looks luxe on her. In the number 5 spot, we got Pangina Heels ... Again, Pangina and Blue, they're dominating this top 10. I don't care. She said this was meant to be a Chinese paper lantern. And what I loved most was the movement in this, which is still kind of captured in this still image. But when she hiked up this dress, it was so soft and flowy that she was able to just twist it around very cha-cha-like, and it just flowed behind her. There was so much fabric that's on this. I think the other interesting detail for me is that everything is flat on the dots all the way up until you get about here. And this is where all the texture is, this is where all the detail is, and those balls are carried through into the lantern. And you can tell that these girls are professionals because they understand bulk and that it can be a tool for your advantage. If these balls were all over the dress, it would look heavy. It would lose the airiness that exists inherently in this dress, that still exists in this still. And the way that it's been used up here creates some visual interest. So again, big, small, big. This looks like something that could walk a couture runway and also perform in a nightclub and would gag everybody in the room. In the number 4 slot, we got Blue Hydrangea's ... This runway also was pretty great. Of the 6 runways that we had, I love the heads on the arms. I don't think I had ever seen this before, but at this time, multi-heads were very popular. If you remember, right before this, Willow Pill had done those 2 heads. Pythia did 2 heads for the Circus Berserkus runway. So multiple heads were very popular and trendy at this time. Blue also had done the thing that Lo Taiyan did with the multiple bodies. If you don't know who Lo Taiyan is, look them up. It's spelled out like the Emotion album by Carly Rae Jepsen. You're gonna gag. They're incredible. Non-Drag Race girl, but is so conceptual and one of my favorite social media queens that I've seen ever. I love how spiky this is, but it looks fluid somehow. The blending of textiles is something that I think of with blue. This velvety fabric that's been stoned, juxtapositioned with these two different polka dot fabrics in this orange are so mind-blowingly fascinating because this shouldn't work. This is an art installation, and that's what I think of with blue. Blue is an art piece to me, and I see her drag as being very highly visual, and that's where the interest is. She's a great performer, but the look is what's important to blue. I think about that finale look from UK1 where she's in that turquoise big garment, that big situation that has the big shoulder pads, and then it's got the like Victorian peplums on the side, and then it's got that huge giant skirt underneath. Her eyeball look, like blue is always visual, super visual, highly visual even. And I think that this look is very similar. I love the inclusion of the shoes that have the exact same stoning that's going on. And I like that it's sort of tapers off. Very cool. And then the feather's a nice detail as well. I think it brings it something Shakespearean. If I could see, like, if, I don't know, the Jim Henson Company were to create a labyrinth version of a Shakespearean story, I could see this being the MC. And then we scroll over to the number 3, which is Mo Heart's Butch Queen look. This is the category down. The idea in the ball scene when you would get a category like Butch Queen, the idea historically was that you were trying to blend in, you're giving realness, because as cigarettes, we are obviously the odd one out in the crowd, the odd one out in the room. Everyone knows that we're, you know. So when you get a Butch Queen look, you are supposed to go out and give so much masculine butch realness that if someone saw you on the streets, they would go, that's a straight dude. That's just a man right there. But obviously, tongue in cheek, we're not out on the streets. We're not trying to convince anyone that we're masculine, manly men. So taking this to what is butch in the queer community, which would be like leather daddies, full leather jacket with the harness underneath that's so hot, and then the leather pants, the leather boots, but there's an interesting little twist of humor with the feminine aspect of having the heels on this. The makeup, which is so feminine, with the glossy lip, and then this sparkly mesh shirt that's underneath it, and then the cod piece. This is a category down. It is evoking realness, but also taking it to the leather bar. Because I think now what our perception of Butch Queen is not someone who's passing in the daytime. You wouldn't go out in like a ratty tank top and cargo pants and be like, I'm giving butch. That's not really our perception of that anymore. I think we're advanced now where butch is now just someone who's really masculine, but is queer. Because I don't think we think of straight men as being butch anymore. I think that's a semi-dated idea, and that's not bad. That's just a part of our history. Where now butch is someone who just is more on the masculine side. And so I do think that this evokes that, and it's also taking in queen to consideration by bringing it to femme, because the queen is the other adjective here. That's the other bullet point, that you're not only trying to be butch, you're trying to be masculine, but you're also being a queen. I like this. I feel like this looks like something that like Landon would wear. Then we move in to the number 2 slot where we got Mo Heart's I'm a Winner Baby. Very first episode, Mo came out and did that talent show talking about God, and I hated it. And I thought we should put her in the bottom and eliminate Mo for preaching about Jesus on the main stage, because I don't want to get any of that religious stuff on my TV. And then she came out in this I'm a Winner look, and I thought, never mind, keep her. I love this green, this emerald luxe green, this shiny fabric with the intricate stoning and beading that's all over this. The applique is everything. I love the hat. I love the big earrings. I love how celebratory this is. And that makeup is so good. The nails are a great addition to this with the wrist cuffs. This feels so important culturally. And I love that Mo brought that to the stage, because up until this point, Mo's drag has been very, for in the nicest way possible. Most drag has been kind of muppety. I looked at season 10 where she did that card dress and it was very camp. All the way through to that Cookie Monster look, her All Stars 4 promo, which had the big eyeball, her makeover look, which was very muppety. I feel like Mo's drag has been family friendly puppet show in a good way. And I think she opened up doors for other people to do that, where this big rebrand on the UK was bringing it to an upscaled level, to we are doing drag at a high caliber. And that's what this look was. And I think she looks rich and expensive. And I like that. And then finally, edging you to the #1 slot, we have Jimbo's I'm a Winner look. And I'm sure half of y'all were just sanding your nails down, waiting to see if I would say Jimbo's name and angry that she wasn't on any of these numbers before. But here she is in the #1 slot. This chest piece is probably one of the coolest things I have ever seen on Drag Race ever. Now, I will be honest, I don't connect with Jimbo's drag. I do not particularly like a lot of what she's done on the show. And I think a lot of her runways from here forward, even into All Stars 8, were very strong and had a cool point of view to them. And I think that the shape of this is so interesting because it almost looks melted. I'm so confused about the fabric manipulation because I don't know how you would create this. It's got all of this fluidity that makes it look like it's moving even when it's standing still. You look at the way that at the shoulder, the way that it tapers up and then gets smaller and then gets big again and then comes back down and is just smooth, all the way down to the skirt where it's thin and then slowly tapers out and gets bigger and it's like liquid. It is so interesting visually. Choosing to do this matte white with the glitter black was so smart because it allows for more visual interest or more places for your eye to move around and catch the sparkle, but it's not overwhelmed. I love the headpiece with the cutouts. I love the makeup. I know there was a lot of controversy at the time, but I do not see how this is controversial at all. This does not look like blackface to me at all. And I think it's quite offensive that anyone would even look at this and go, she's doing blackface. She's doing the color black for sure. But if people think that that's what a black person looks like, that's more offensive to me than anything. On top of it, the idea of blackface or of any color face that you're doing is to emulate a race that you are not a part of. And that's clearly not what this is. This is clearly a chess piece. She looks like one of those limited edition sets that you would get at some collector's store. This is spectacular. This is so high concept, such a good time for Jimbo to really rebrand, as well as a lot of these other contestants were rebranding at the time, because Jimbo was clowny. And I think Jimbo was able to kind of scale the clown back in to All Stars 8, but here it was a rebrand too. We're no longer poor Jimbo. We got a budget now. And I think this looks like, hello budget. And with that, that has been my top 10 favorite looks from Drag Race UK versus the world. Let me know in the comments below some of your favorite looks, and remember to be respectful as always, and check out my Drag Race podcast and my other UK versus the world videos that will be coming out later this week if you are interested in hearing more thoughts about this absolutely rancid season. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all on the flip.